Hi guys, so as promised, this is going to be the roof build-up show for Hollywood Hills. Now for the last 10 years, the roof has very much been known as one of the most extreme events around the world, to be honest. Before that, it was extreme in a very different way. You know, this is the 51st year of running in 2018. Last year, 50 year, a half century. Not many other events around the world can actually say that they've been running this long. But we must recognize the fact that this event has changed through the years as well. It used to be like 400 kilometers plus, guys sleeping out in the mountains, massive distances over every single day. And then in the last 10 years or just over 10 years, it's become very extreme. So less distance, but more emphasis on the gnarl and extreme side of the coin. This year, with a couple of date changes, as I kind of hit it towards on last week's show, that's kind of made it almost a South African only event this year around, basically because of the clash of the dates. It comes in line with the opening round of the European Enduro Cross, and the world athletes, I think at this stage of the year, they've all done a lap of the globe or 2 laps of the globe, and they're all feeling a little bit tired as far as the international duties go. Oh shame, I hear you say. They are pro, they are paid athletes a lot of the times, so you know what, they've got to kind of count their pennies towards the end of the year as well. Often when you've got to jump all the way across South Africa, the guys are self-paying, so it's a little bit tricky to try and figure that out. Anyway, that sets the scene for what I'm setting up as potentially a top 3 SA podium, potentially a top 5 SA rider lockout. That's what it's looking like at the moment. Let's check out the names. So for me, the safest bet at the moment for the win has got to be multi-winning roof rider Wade Young. He is confirmed to come over. There's going to be a no-show from his teammate Mario Roman, so Mario's going to be out of it. There's going to be a couple of local Sherco riders, but as far as the outright odds-on favorite, all the money is going to be on Wade at the moment to walk away with another win. He is going to become, if he does that by the way, the winningest roof rider to date in local and recent history. There are a couple of riders back in the day that took more roof wins in the previous version of the roof, but as far as the extreme roof goes, he's going to beat out Birch, he's going to beat out Jarvis, and he will be the main man. The other rider that has got to have a seriously good chance this year is Travis Teasdale. He's taken a ton of international podiums over the last couple of seasons. He came so close to the win last year. He got a big number 2 spot, and he's in the form of his life. What you've got to ask yourself with Travis is, how tired is he from this full international season? The answer has got to be very much tired. He's going to be absolutely smoked out. He's lived out of a bag for the last 8, maybe 9 months. He'll be physically tired, physically drained. And at the end of the season, to go out and do those 3 days of really super gnarly hot riding up in the Lesotho Mountains, it's going to be a very big ask. But I think he's the man that can run Wade the closest. At the moment, I've got him down as a prediction for the number 2 finish again, unless anything goes wrong with Wade. Third place for me, now this is a tricky one, because in the past, I'd have put Blake Goodside up there for a top 3, if not a win overall. He is in good form as well. But Blake's just signed a new deal with X-Grip. That's an X-Grip Husqvarna deal. That's going to keep him in Europe throughout the winter, where he's going to be racing all the indoors and then selected outdoor events. He already confirmed after he wrapped up his national title, taking his first big number 1 plate for Yamaha, he already confirmed to me and everyone that he wasn't going to be competing in the roof. Based on the date clashes, he always focuses on this time of year to go indoors and really work on getting his name out there internationally in Europe. So he's going to be based out in Germany once again. So he's going to be a no-show, but he really would have been one of my firm bets for a third, if not better. So again, we'll actually say congrats to Blake on taking his big number 1 plate for Yamaha. He said that as a really solid goodbye to Yamaha as well, as he signs with X-Grip on the Husky going forward into 2019. So that leaves third spot open. The good money, I feel, is going to be on Kyle Flanagan. He is in very good form. He's injury-free. He's had a stellar season. He's also, for Yamaha, walked away with his big number 1 plate in category, beating out the big kid, William Oosthuizen, on an absolute nail-biter of a season. So I think Flanny, with the attacking riding style that he's got from enduro cross, off-road GXCC racing. He even went out and got picked up for the last 3 rounds of the Enduro GP season. So he's probably got the most experience that he's ever had in his whole life, and he's probably in the form of his life as well. So at the moment, I'm calling Flanny for a number 3. That would be Wade number 1, TT number 2, Flanny number 3. That's my prediction for a top 3. The guys who are challenging to break into the top 5 and possibly hassle into the top 3, the list is huge. Check out these names. So based on form and the season that he's had, the king of the Impies, the king of the KZN mountains, and that's William Slater. Slater, for me, looked like he was definitely going to be challenging for a podium this roof. You know, he's taken another Impy win. He took a really strong national win, which was actually a round that was held at the Big Impy. He took the last Impy win. He's been absolutely flying on all of the KZN Extreme Enduros. And I actually just checked in with him this morning. I said, I hope you're racing the roof. He says, no, bro. In for another operation. So he's kind of had a bit of a tortuous year. I think he's had 3 surgeries this year. And based on a lost injury or a lost niggle, I think it was a couple of screws and plates that weren't quite lined up from the last operation. Unfortunately, he's a no-show for this year's roof. But I want to high-five the Slayer. He's really had not a breakout year. He really broke out 2 years ago, in my opinion. Last year was good, but racked with injuries. And then this year, he's really been on a flyer. So watch out for the Slayer going forward into all the events for next season. But unfortunately, one of my top picks for a top finish in this year's roof going to be a no-show going on the slab and under the knife. And then you start talking about the riders who have started to come into form, coming back from injury. Couple of months ago at the last round, or last 2 rounds, should I say, of the National Enduro Championship, Scott Burberry, who is a multi-roof podium finisher. He's been on the podium at international events such as Sea to Sky. He's a very tasted rider, and really he is the strongest rider at the moment on the gate in the orange colors. Still keeps his seat in the Brother Leader Trade Factory KTM squad. But he missed out the whole first half of this season. So even though his riding's good, I don't know what his form is going to be like and how much training and seat time he's been able to put in to get himself ready for the torture that is Roof of Africa. So Scotty, even though he's a podium finisher in the past and he has been podium threats in the past, I'm not sure if his form is quite there to challenge for a top 3, but I am calling Scotty B out for a solid top 5. His teammate on the Brother Leader Trade Factory KTM squad, Dueno, also a rider on the comeback. He very much had to sit out the middle and latter half of the season. He came into 2019 as an odds-on favorite to win in category for the National Enduro Championship. He already won at the beginning of the season because they were all based at the beginning of the year, the EWXC Crown. He was leading the Lowveld Enduro Championship Series up until the halfway marker, and he was leading the National Championship up until the halfway marker. At the halfway marker, though, broken wrist, just broken too much to be able to just ride through it. Had to go under the knife, had to go for a long set of physio, but he has literally just come out now. So about a month ago, he got the all clear, got himself ready, got in good enough form to be able to go and race the final round of the Lowveld Enduro Series. That was the Killarney event. Actually won that final event. Obviously didn't wrap up the championship because he lost too many points by missing those rounds in the middle, but did win the final round of the Lowvelds. Now, the way the Lowvelds have been run in 2018, they are one of the toughest enduro series is running in the country at the moment. So I think Dueno is probably in good shape. He's probably ready for roof. I don't know if he's committed to this year's roof. I haven't got confirmation of that. But if he is there, he's a top 5 on my numbers. And then check out this list of riders, because 2017, late 2017, 2018 has seen a lot of riders really break out. So at the end of last year, big kid William Oosthuizen, he was on a Druma's Yamaha. He was on the Big 450 most of the year. Then he started doing a lot of training with Wild William Gillett, and then this year came out banging. He won the opening round of the Enduro National Series, got picked up by the Pepsi Plastics Husky squad, and then ran numbers the whole way through the season. At the beginning of the year, he was going at it with Flanny and Dueno. After Dueno dropped out, it was him and Flanny the whole way through, and it came down to an absolute nail-biting finish. He walked away with a number 2 finish in the championship on the category for the National Enduro Series, and has definitely become a big threat. So I'm expecting to see William Oosthuizen probably take one of his highest roof finishes. It's definitely going to be a top 10 in my opinion. It may possibly be a top 5. He brings along his younger teammate as well in the Pepson Plastics factory Husky colors, and that's Matty Green. And Greenie has come off probably his best domestic season. Obviously, he moved up category into the pro ranks. Last year, he was the high school champion. He had to get kicked out through aging out. He's been rocking the 150 the whole way through the season. Not only that, he was old enough to actually go across and race Romaniacs as well as Sea to Sky. Sea to Sky, I mean, he top 5 that thing out of nowhere. No one called that. I don't even think himself. And in Romaniacs, he actually did a good enough finish to actually make a name for himself there as well. So again, I think I'm calling Matty for a top 10 guaranteed, a top 5 possible. And if he top 5s it, he's going to start to following those shoes of the guys that have walked away with their best ever results at their first ever roof. Guys like Wade Young, who obviously rock and rolled to the big win at the age of 16, which I think is coming up to like 6 or 7 years ago now. Can you believe it? It's quite a while back. Anyway, Greenie's going to be up there. I'm calling Greenie definite top 10, possible top 5. Look for around about a 5th or 6th place finish coming out of Greenie. On the extended list of maybes for this year's roof, you've got to start looking at key players from a couple of the other categories. So I said that Dueno didn't wrap up the championship in the low felt enduro series. The man that's run him closest the last 2 years running had to sit out and just wait for his time. 2018 was his chance to walk away with it, and that's Barent Erasmus. And Barent isn't just a one-trick pony. He isn't just good at racing in the low felts. He's amazing at racing in the low felts, and he walks away as your champion in 2018. But he also is good enough to get out there and make a name for himself on the international stage. So he raced at Hawkston as part of the WESS. He also raced at Sea to Sky. So he's a rider with pedigree. He's got a lot of holding, and he's definitely a top 10er. Watch out for Barent to come strong at the end of the season as well. And then these are really, for me, the unknown factors. Riders who I've known have been around for quite a while now, but I feel like they may be able to do something special at this year's roof. I don't think I'm going to call any of these riders for a win, but they could sneak in and fly under the radar and get into a top 5. Definitely all these guys are going to be fighting it out to break their way into the top 10. Riders like Luke Walker. Now, Luke has started to make a name for himself as a bit of an enduro cross specialist. For years, he's been racing the EWXCs in high school, and he's starting to really challenge for pro wins on that gate as well. So watch out for Luke. He's starting to really come on strong. In fact, a couple of riders are tagging him to possibly go overseas and race the Junior Enduro Cross World Championship. That's how strong this kid is at the moment. But also, in the low felt, EWXCs, and possibly the roof, you might be able to see something special coming out of Luke Walker. Justin Flemmer as well, a guy that's been in it there or thereabouts. He's walked away with a ton of podiums this year on EWXCs and low faults, so watch out for Flemmer. I think he's a tasty bet. Bryce Van Heerden, whichever Bryce wakes up at the roof this year, is the Bryce that's going to deliver it. Sometimes he's just too relaxed. He takes his racing very casually. He's a very humble rider, but I really do think if he kind of like pushes himself and gets a little bit more intensity, he's going to be a challenge. He runs a very similar pace to Flemmer, so I would probably watch for those guys to team up and run a similar kind of number, certainly on days 1 and 2, and possibly the early part of day number 3, until you run out of friends at the roof. So watch out for Flemmer as well. Rob Garvey, who's a teammate to Flemmer, I also think he's come on strong. He's really ramped up his game as far as training goes. Everyone has really stepped up the game. You see all the guys posting on Instagram and Facebook and all social media about their training regimes. It's become that game, and Garvey is one of the guys that really works out probably harder than anyone else just outside of the top pro gate. Moritz Mering, he's been there, he's done that. He took a couple of years out to concentrate on business, now partnering up with Bandit Science and Daryl Curtis. And Moritz is back, and if he lines up, he's also in for a chance of a top 10. And then you talk about a couple of kind of goofballs. I call them goofballs. I really think they're the funniest guys out there at the moment. Charon Moore, he's been racing roof since he was, I think, like 16, 17. He's really been around the block as far as the racing gate goes. He's done extreme. He's done enduro cross, he's done motocross, he's done ISDEs. He has got probably more experience than any other rider out there as far as all the facets go. He literally can turn his hand to anything. And then lastminute.com, he picked up a deal with the Roost KTM. He's got himself a 300 Smoker TPI. And you know what? I think there's kind of like a vibe about this year's roof that it's gone a little bit more old school. They're using some of the old trails, and watch out for some of the old guys like Charon to kind of identify with the old route. He's got a lot of experience up there in those mountains, so he may be a bit of a dark horse. Him and Alti. Remember, Altus de Wet, he's done a ton of roofs. In fact, he's almost one of those crossover riders. He was competing in the roof in the old days of it being those long endurance ones, as well as into the crossover. He's been on the podium before, back in the day. In fact, he was one of the few riders to take a four-stroke before Wade walked away with the win on the 250 Yamaha. He was one of the few riders back in those days to get the big four strokes up the mountains and in the extremes when he was going up against Jade Goodsight and Birchie when they were over here. So those two goofballs in the form of Charon Moore and Altus de Wet may do something special as well. They've got a ton of experience and they will be bringing it to the mountains. How's that for a shopping list? Ton of names, eh? But most importantly, all SA boys. There are going to be a couple of international riders, but it's not going to be the caliber of riders that we have seen in the past. All those guys are locked in Europe at the moment. All right, so I'll catch my breath then, and I just wish all the guys that are heading up to Roof, I know it's a big one. It really is. A lot of the guys do really focus in on this to wrap up their year. A lot of the bronze riders, the silver riders, I wish them all the very best of luck. I think based on how last year's Roof was run, which was, in everyone's opinion, a little bit too easy, the reaction always goes the other way. Peter Luck does tend to react quite positively to these things. So if it's too easy, then it's going to be a real hard one. So I'm expecting some real tough stories coming out of the 2018 running of this year's Motul Roof of Africa. And good luck to all the guys going for gold and obviously going for glory to see if they can get the job done. I'm going to sign off with my final call then. Let's call the top three. I'm going number 1 is going to be Wade. Number 2 will be TT. And I'm calling Flanny to get the number 3 spot. That will be his first ever Roof podium. Tune in next week to see if I get it right. Laters.